The families of two Venezuelan opposition leaders say the men were taken from their homes in overnight raids. Leopoldo Lopez and Antonio Ledesma were taken after urging continued protests against the country's new Constituent Assembly. They say the political body will allow the government to rewrite Venezuela's constitution, giving it unfettered power. Anne Barker reports.
In the dead of night, Venezuelan security agents in Caracas raid the home of an opposition figure and take him away in his pyjamas. Antonio Ledesma had been released from jail and placed under house arrest in 2015 for inciting protests against President Nicolás Maduro. His family yells out in protest as he's taken back to a military prison. Nearby, a separate raid is carried out against another opposition figure, Leopoldo Lopez. His wife, Mitzi Capriles, says her husband has done nothing but lead a peaceful protest. This has been a kidnapping, she says, when you as the government arrest people that are sitting on the curb holding the national flag, and the reason you're arrested is that you're protesting sincerely and simply, and you're not shooting bullets. The only thing you're doing is looking for votes. This is what the democratic opposition does. Despite their detention, both men played a lead role campaigning against Sunday's election of a controversial National Assembly, which has absolute powers to strengthen President Maduro's socialist government. Supporters of Leopoldo Lopez have released a video he recorded only last week, predicting his rearrest. If you're looking at this video now, he says, it's precisely because that occurred, because they came and they illegally imprisoned me again unjustly, a prisoner for wanting a better Venezuela. It's 1 million of us Venezuelans who are imprisoned. At least 10 people were killed in violent street protests in the lead-up to Sunday's vote. The United States has denounced the new Constituent Assembly as illegitimate and has imposed sanctions on President Maduro. The US Secretary of State is Rex Tillerson.
Clearly what we want to see is for Venezuela to return to its constitution, return to its scheduled elections, and allow the people of Venezuela to have the voice in their government that they deserve. We're very, very troubled by what we're seeing unfold, but the rearrest of opposition leaders last night is very alarming.
But although mass protests have continued since April, President Maduro has the support of the country's key institutions, including Venezuela's Supreme Court. His Defence Minister Vladimir Padrino has defended the new political body.
Presidente constitucional.
A constitutional president is not a dictator, he says. One who calls elections is not a dictator. One who works for the peace of Venezuela and has sought to avoid what other stateless sectors invoke every day, death, civil war and confrontation between Venezuelans, is not a dictator. The US fears the overnight arrests will only cause further violence. And the United Nations says the only solution to Venezuela's growing crisis is a political one.
Anne Barker reporting.